So Sony has been on a roll lately, improving and refining all of their speakers. But perhaps the biggest improvements and refinements that Sony has done lately can be found on the new Sony ULT Field 1, which is the successor to the Sony XE200 and the Sony XE300. And I'm gonna be straight up with you, I think both the Sony XE200 and the Sony XE300 were bad, like really bad. But the Sony ULT Field 1, this speaker is actually very good. So today we are going to check out the Sony ULT Field 1 and we're going to see how it compares to both the Sony XE200 and the Sony XE300. Regarding pricing, the Sony ULT Field 1 has a retail price of $130, pretty standard for a speaker of this size. Now, the ULT Field 1 is the direct successor to the Sony XE200, but it's still technically a step below from the Sony XE300. So personally, I really hope that we see a Sony ULT Field 3 in the future. Nonetheless, if you want to pick this speaker up, it'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, link down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button and let's get subscribed. So first, we have to talk about the design of this speaker. One of my biggest issues with the Sony XE200 and XE300 is that these speakers were just really big, and the XE200 wasn't all that smaller than the XE300. So portability on the speakers just wasn't all that good when compared to the rest of the competition. But then there's the ULT Field 1, which is just way smaller than both of Sony's older speakers. Yes, it's long, but it's a lot thinner. But also, the ULT 1 has a very nice built-in carrying loop, which you can use in one of two positions. So it just makes carrying the speaker around very easy, but it also makes it very easy to attach or tie the speaker to something else. Now, when it comes to durability, the ULT 1 has a mostly fabric wrap body with some very hard rubber end caps on both sides, and this speaker is IP67 rated, meaning that it's both dust and waterproof. So overall, the ULT Field 1 is very durable, but it's also a lot more portable than both the XE200 and XE300 because it's significantly smaller again. Now, when it comes to battery life, the Sony ULT Field 1 has an advertised battery life of 12 hours, which is standard for a speaker of this size. But this advertised battery life of 12 hours on the ULT Field 1 is with this speaker playing at 50% volume, which is already noticeably louder than 50% volume on both the XE200 and XE300, and that's with the ULT feature turned on, which is good. And at max volume, Sony says that the ULT Field 1 is going to be good for up to 3 hours of playback time. But real-world use with this speaker playing at 80% volume and with the ULT feature turned on is going to be good for around 8 hours of playback time, which is not bad at all. However, with this speaker, you can always extend its battery by simply using it with its ULT feature turned off. However, if you use this speaker with its ULT feature turned off, then its bass is going to be a little flat. But when it comes to charging the speaker, the ULT Field 1 charges via a USB-C port as it should, but this is actually the only port that you'll find on this speaker because it does not have an audio jack, and the USB-C port on this speaker is strictly used for charging. And regarding connectivity, this speaker is using Bluetooth 5.3, but more importantly, this speaker can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ, and latency is not an issue for this speaker, so you can use it to watch videos with on your phone. Now, when it comes to audio codecs, interestingly enough, the ULT Field 1 only has support for SBC and AAC. Unfortunately, there is no LDAC here, which is Sony's own in-house high-res audio codec. Now, just keep in mind that if you did want to use LDAC, you do need to be an Android user because iPhones top out at AAC. Nonetheless, I do feel that AAC is more than enough for the ULT Field 1. But with all of that out of the way, let's talk about sound, because this is where the biggest upgrades can be found. And now when it comes to speaker setup, both the XE200 and XE300 have dual front firing drivers and dual passive radiators that shoot out the sides, except the XE300 is a little bigger. But then there's the Sony ULT Field 1, which has a single frontward firing woofer and a frontward firing tweeter and dual passive radiators that shoot out the sides. Now, it's a big deal that the ULT Field 1 has a woofer and tweeter setup, because this is still a relatively rare setup for a speaker of this size and price, and it's the same setup as the JBL Flip 6 and Charge 5. And the benefit that you get here with this setup is that you have your woofer, which is going to handle the mids and lows, and you have your tweeter, which is going to handle the highs. But so that you can see for yourself, let me just show you. So like you may have just seen, the woofer handles the mids and the tweeter handles the highs, and this is just going to give you much better instrument separation, and this is going to give you much better detail in the highs. Now with all of these speakers, you can go into Sony's app and you can adjust their EQ to your liking, but more importantly, the Sony ULT Field 1 has its alt button, which is new on Sony's new line of speakers. However, the alt button on the ULT 1 only has one setting, unlike the alt button on Sony's other speakers that both have two alt settings. Nonetheless, the alt setting on the ULT 1 is going to increase your bass. But with all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump into the sound test. All of these speakers are playing at 87% volume. Both the XE200 and XE300 have their mega bass feature turned on, and we're going to use the ULT Field 1 with alt turned on and off.
You know that you control me. Guilty self-affliction. Prey on me when I'm lonely. But now you're willing victim. My friends already told me that I don't wanna listen. 'Cause I love the way you hold me. And I don't need a reason. 'Cause I don't wanna be.
So first off, I think that you should always use the ULT Field 1 with its alt feature turned on all of the time, like I do, unless you want to just save on battery life. But more importantly, the Sony ULT 1 sounds a lot more open than both the XE200 and XE300. My biggest issue with both the XE200 and XE300 is that these speakers sounded so muffled and had such bad instrument separation, and they didn't get all that loud, and they were just so big for no reason. But the ULT Field 1 has fixed all of these issues, and yes, both the X200 and X300 were running the latest firmwares. But more importantly, the ULT Field 1 now has much better clarity than these other two speakers, and it sounds a lot more open, and there's a lot more definition in the mids as well. And when it comes to max volume performance, the Sony ULT Field 1 sounds louder, and it sounds significantly fuller than both the XE300 and XE200. Now, in the measurements, it says that both the XE300 and XE200 are getting louder than the ULT 1, but in real life, the ULT 1 sounds louder than these other two speakers because there's just a lot more emphasis on the mids, whereas these other two speakers put a larger emphasis on the bass and other low ends. But overall, the Sony ULT Field 1 sounds way better than both the XE200 and XE300. But now let's talk about pairing the speaker up with other speakers. Now overall, I love the upgrades found on the ULT Field 1. It's smaller, it has good battery life, and it sounds great. But where Sony dropped the ball here is that the ULT Field 1 does not have Party Connect. Now with the ULT 1, if you have another ULT 1, then you can wirelessly pair them to one another and get them to play in left and right stereo mode. But since the ULT Field 1 does not have Party Connect, you can't wirelessly connect it to any of Sony's other speakers that are also using Party Connect, like either the ULT Field 7, which is another speaker that I really like from Sony, or to the Sony XG500, XG300, or to the XE300, XE200, or to the XB43, XB33, or XB23, or to any of Sony's larger box speakers that are also using Party Connect. Personally, I find it very odd that the ULT Field 1 does not have Party Connect, and I think that is a shame because it would be great if you could connect your ULT Field 1 to the ULT Field 7 at the very least. So I really hope that Sony can add Party Connect to the ULT Field 1 through a future firmware update, but I doubt it. But finally, the ULT Field 1 is one of those rare portable speakers that still has a built-in microphone, so if you want, you can take phone calls with this speaker. Now, the ULT Field 1 right now is about 3 feet away from me and is sitting on a tabletop. Now, personally, I never use the built-in microphone on my speakers to take phone calls with, but it is there if you need it. And just for reference, this here is a microphone test. But with all that being said, I think the Sony ULT Field 1 has some of the biggest improvements and refinements in Sony's current speaker lineup. From a sound quality standpoint, the ULT Field 1 sounds a lot better than its predecessors because it has much better clarity, but it also gets louder and it still has a ton of bass. I also really like that the ULT Field 1 has returned to its smaller size and it has decent battery life as well. The only sad thing about the ULT 1 is that it's missing Sony's Party Connect, so you can't connect it to Sony's other speakers. But nonetheless, the Sony ULT Field 1 is a great speaker to consider for summer 2024 if you need something small and loud. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.